The quantum communicator aboard the International Space Station had never activated before. When it finally did, the message came not in words but in images: burning worlds, shattered fleets, and billions dead. The Crixus, a species humanity had never met, were making their last desperate plea to the cosmos. Commander Sarah Chen stood before the United Earth Council, her weathered face illuminated by the holographic display of the massacre. The Crixus transmission played again, showing crystalline cities crumbling under the onslaught of the Void Dominion's world-breaker ships. Each frame told a story of systematic extinction, methodical and ruthless. "They found us because we just tested our first faster-than-light drive," Chen explained, her voice steadied despite the weight of the moment. "The Crixus detected our quantum signature. They're reaching out to every spacefaring civilization they can find, hoping someone will help them survive." The council chamber remained silent, processing the implications. Humanity had barely ventured beyond Mars, and now they faced a choice that would define their species: hide and hope the storm passed them by, or stand and fight for a civilization they'd never met. "The Void Dominion will find us eventually," Chen continued, switching the display to show Earth's defensive capabilities. "The Crixus are offering us their technological knowledge in exchange for our help. But more importantly, they're offering us a chance to fight this enemy before it reaches our doorstep." Counselor Zhang leaned forward, his aged hands clasped together. "Commander, you're suggesting we commit our limited forces to a war light years away. We've never fought in space. We've never even seen these weapons in action. How can we possibly hope to make a difference?" Chen's lips curved into a slight smile. "Because we're human, Counselor. We've spent our entire history fighting against overwhelming odds. While the Crixus built their perfect society, we were forging ourselves in the crucible of constant conflict. They're peaceful explorers. We're survivors." The hologram shifted again, showing the tactical analysis of the Void Dominion's forces. Their ships were massive, geometrically perfect constructs that moved with devastating precision. But Chen saw something else in their patterns, something that sparked the predator's instinct humans had never quite evolved away from. "They fight like machines," she observed, highlighting their formation patterns. "Perfect, predictable, and utterly lacking in creativity. They've never faced an enemy that fights back differently. They've never encountered human warfare." Admiral Hassan, who had remained silent until now, stood up. "The Crixus ships are more advanced than ours, but they use them like scientific instruments. Their crews lack aggressive instincts. They've lost every battle despite superior technology." "Exactly." Chen pressed her advantage. "We take our ships, our new destroyers and carriers, and we combine them with Crixus technology. But we fight human style. Dirty, unpredictable, and willing to do whatever it takes to win." The council chambers erupted in debate. The decision would not come easily, but Chen could see the shift in their eyes. Humanity had always dreamed of the stars, but they'd also always prepared for war. Perhaps this was why. This moment when the galaxy needed not just intelligence or technology, but the unique savagery that Earth's children had never forgotten. 3 days later, Chen stood in the command center of the UES Hyperion, Earth's first faster-than-light capable warship. Around her, the crew worked with focused intensity, running combat drills and integrating the Crixus technical data that was already revolutionizing their systems. "Final checks complete, Commander," Lieutenant Rivera reported from the tactical station. "The fleet is ready for jump." Chen surveyed the holographic display showing Earth's first interstellar battle group. 15 ships, each carrying the best of humanity's military technology and crew. They would rendezvous with the remaining Crixus forces in the Proxima Centauri system, where the first joint operation would begin. "Send word to all ships," Chen ordered, her voice carrying the weight of history. "We jump in 5 minutes. Humanity goes to war." The Hyperion's quantum drive hummed to life, creating a tunnel through space-time itself. As the countdown reached 0, Chen thought about the message they'd received, about the billions already lost to the Void Dominion's relentless advance. But mostly, she thought about humanity's long history of warfare, of adaptation, of surviving against impossible odds. The stars stretched into lines of light, and Earth's first war fleet leaped into the unknown. They were few against many, primitives against an advanced enemy, but they carried with them something the Void Dominion had never encountered: the indomitable human spirit of warfare. The first battle would begin soon, and humanity would show the galaxy why Earth was classified as a death world, why its people had survived countless near extinctions, and why picking a fight with humans was about to become the Void Dominion's greatest mistake. As the fleet emerged from quantum space near Proxima Centauri, the sensors immediately detected the aftermath of recent combat. Debris fields stretched for thousands of kilometers, the remnants of Crixus ships that had fought and died trying to protect their refugee convoys. But amid the destruction, hope appeared on the tactical display. 3 massive Crixus cruisers, their crystalline hulls reflecting the light of the nearby star. They had survived, protecting a cluster of civilian ships that carried the seeds of their civilization's survival. Incoming transmission from the Crixus flagship, Rivera announced. The holographic display shifted, revealing the first human view of their new allies. The Crixus commander appeared almost ethereal, tall, with iridescent skin and eyes that seemed to contain galaxies. But Chen saw past the alien beauty to the exhaustion, the desperation, and the fading hope. "Children of Earth," the Crixus commander spoke, their words translated by the quantum link. "You honor the ancient codes by answering our call. But I must warn you, the Void Dominion approaches. If you wish to retreat, now is the time." Chen stepped forward, her posture radiating the confident aggression that was humanity's birthright. "We didn't come here to retreat. We came here to fight. And we're about to show you exactly why humans have survived every catastrophe our world could throw at us." The Void Dominion would arrive soon, expecting to find only the wounded Crixus ships. Instead, they would find humanity's first interstellar battle group, ready to demonstrate why Earth was considered the most dangerous planet in known space. The war for survival was about to begin, and humanity was bringing centuries of combat evolution to the battlefield. The Void Dominion's fleet emerged from hyperspace like a wall of darkness against the stars. Their ships, perfect geometric shapes of impossible scale, moved with mechanical precision as they approached the Proxima Centauri battlefield. Aboard the UES Hyperion, Commander Chen watched the enemy's formation with predatory focus. 97 ships, Lieutenant Rivera reported, his tactical display highlighting the threat assessment. "Their energy signatures are off the charts. Those weapons could tear through our shields in seconds." Chen nodded, but her attention was on the enemy's formation. The Void Dominion ships arranged themselves in a perfect hexagonal pattern, optimizing their firing solutions with mathematical precision. It was exactly what she had expected, and exactly what she had planned for. "Send word to all ships," Chen ordered. "Execute Operation Chaos Protocol." The human fleet, which had been maintaining a defensive position around the Crixus cruisers, suddenly burst into action. Instead of forming up into traditional battle lines, each ship activated their newly modified quantum drives in a way that would have horrified their Crixus allies, if they hadn't already been warned. The UES Hyperion led the charge, its quantum field deliberately destabilized to create a wake of spatial distortions. Behind it, the rest of the human fleet scattered in seemingly random patterns, their engines pushing the boundaries of safe operation. To the Void Dominion sensors, it would appear as if the human ships were malfunctioning, their movements erratic and their systems unstable. "They're adjusting their formation," Rivera reported with a grim smile. "They're trying to compensate for our technical difficulties." The Void Dominion fleet began to split apart, their perfect formation breaking down as they attempted to surround what they perceived as disabled prey. It was the first time in their history of conquest that they had encountered a force that didn't try to match their precision with precision. "Now," Chen commanded, "show them why you don't corner a wounded animal." The human fleet's apparent chaos transformed into coordinated savagery. Ships that seemed to be tumbling out of control suddenly snapped into attack vectors, their modified Crixus weapons firing from impossible angles. The spatial distortions they had seeded throughout the battlefield began to interact with the Void Dominion's shields in ways their defensive algorithms had never encountered. On the Crixus flagship, High Commander Zix watched in astonishment as the primitive human vessels executed maneuvers that violated every principle of space combat their civilization had developed. The humans weren't just fighting. They were rewriting the rules of warfare in real time. Impossible, Zix whispered as a human destroyer deliberately flew through its own weapons fire, using the shield interactions to create a cascading energy effect that ripped through a Void Dominion cruiser's defenses. Their crews should be dead from those G-forces alone. But humanity had come prepared. Each crew member wore a modified version of the G-force compensation suits they had developed for their early space programs, enhanced with Crixus technology. Where the Void Dominion relied on automated systems and the Crixus on elegant technology, humans had simply engineered their bodies to withstand the impossible. The battle transformed into chaos, controlled chaos that the humans rode like a wave. Commander Chen's voice cut through the tactical channels, coordinating attacks that looked like mistakes until the moment they struck home. Human gunners, their reflexes enhanced by neural interfaces, fired into spatial distortions that curved their shots around enemy shields. Engineers pushed their reactors past safety limits, using the excess energy to create electromagnetic pulses that disrupted the Void Dominion's perfect formations. Status report. Chen demanded as the Hyperion executed a combat roll that would have shattered a Crixus ship of similar size. Enemy fleet is down 23 ships, Rivera reported. They're trying to regroup, but their combat algorithms can't predict our movement patterns. We're seeing adaptation in their responses, but it's too slow. The Void Dominion's remaining ships began to pull back, attempting to establish a new defensive line. Their movements were still precise, still perfect. And that was their weakness. Every pattern could be broken, every algorithm could be confused, and humans had spent millennia learning how to exploit exactly these kinds of predictable behaviors. Launch the mines, Chen ordered, and her fleet released clouds of what appeared to be debris. The Void Dominion sensors registered them as battle damage, right until the moment the fragments revealed themselves to be miniature quantum bombs. Another human innovation that combined their expertise in dirty warfare with Crixus technology. The explosions rippled through space, creating a web of destructive energy that trapped the enemy fleet in overlapping fields of quantum disruption. Ships that could shrug off direct hits from capital ship weapons found their perfect geometries distorted by spatial fluctuations that no defense system could compensate for. Message from the Void Dominion flagship, Rivera announced, surprise evident in his voice. They're requesting terms of withdrawal. The command deck fell silent. The Crixus had never received such a request in their entire conflict with the Void Dominion. The enemy had always fought to the last ship, their programming allowing for nothing less than total victory or total defeat. Chen allowed herself a small smile. Send them coordinates for a safe withdrawal vector. Let them run back to their masters and explain how a primitive species with barely functional spacecraft just handed them their first major defeat. As the remaining Void Dominion ships retreated, the human fleet regrouped around the Crixus cruisers. The battle damage was significant. 3 human ships had been destroyed, and most others showed signs of the brutal stress they had endured. But they had achieved what the Crixus had thought impossible. They had forced the Void Dominion to retreat. Commander, the voice of High Commander Zix came through the quantum link, filled with a mixture of awe and uncertainty. What we witnessed today, it contradicts everything we understood about space warfare. Your ships moved in ways that defied tactical logic, yet every chaos seemed to serve a purpose. That's humanity's greatest strength, Chen replied. We don't just think outside the box. We set the box on fire and use the ashes to confuse our enemies. And we're just getting started. The Battle of Proxima Centauri would become legendary in both human and Crixus history. The day when a species that had barely reached the stars showed the galaxy that sometimes the most dangerous weapon isn't the most advanced technology, but the willingness to use it in ways no one else had imagined. As the fleet began emergency repairs, Chen knew this was only the beginning. The Void Dominion would return, stronger and more adapted to human tactics. But that was fine. Humanity had spent its entire existence adapting faster than its enemies, and they weren't about to stop now. 3 months after the Battle of Proxima Centauri, the combined human Crixus shipyards in orbit around Mars hummed with activity. What had begun as a desperate alliance was transforming into something unprecedented in galactic history. Commander Chen watched through the observation deck as human engineers swarmed over a Crixus cruiser, their plasma torches creating cascades of sparks against the crystalline hull. "The modifications exceed our initial projections," High Commander Zix said, their iridescent form reflecting the welding flashes. "Your engineers' insistence on redundant manual controls seemed primitive at first, but after seeing them in combat, automation is wonderful until it fails," Chen replied, studying the holographic schematics floating between them. Humans learned that lesson the hard way centuries ago. Sometimes the best computer is a trained operator with good instincts and a manual override. The upgraded Crixus vessels were a testament to this philosophy. Their elegant systems remained, but now they were backed by human-style redundancies, manual backups, and what the Crixus engineers considered an alarming number of emergency protocols. More importantly, they were being redesigned to accommodate the aggressive maneuvers that had proven so effective at Proxima Centauri. Incoming priority transmission. Lieutenant Rivera's voice cut through the observation deck's quiet atmosphere. "The Void Dominion has launched a major offensive. They're hitting multiple systems simultaneously." The holographic display shifted, showing tactical data from across 100 light-years of space. The enemy had adapted their strategy, abandoning their previous methodical approach for something far more aggressive. Multiple Crixus refugee fleets were under attack, along with several human deep space outposts. "They're trying to spread us thin," Chen observed, her mind already calculating possibilities. "Force us to either abandon our allies or split our forces into vulnerable groups." Zix's crystalline features shifted in what Chen had learned was their expression of grave concern. "Our long-range sensors detect 3 times as many ships as they deployed at Proxima Centauri. They've enhanced their quantum shields as well. Our previous tactics may not be as effective." "Good." Chen's response drew a startled look from her alien counterpart. "That means they're learning to adapt. Now it's our turn to show them what happens when you force humans to evolve our warfare." Within hours, the combined fleet had mobilized. But instead of rushing to meet the Void Dominion's overwhelming force head-on, they implemented what Chen called Operation Guerrilla Stars, a strategy that made the vast distances of space itself into a weapon. The human Crixus ships split into small, highly mobile strike teams. Each group was equipped with newly developed quantum ghost generators, devices that could create false sensor readings across entire star systems. The Void Dominion found themselves chasing phantom fleets, while the real strike forces hit their supply lines with devastating precision. "Contact in the Sirius sector," Rivera reported from the Hyperion's tactical station. "Enemy force is responding to our decoys. Strike Team Delta is in position." Chen watched as the battle unfolded across multiple fronts. The Void Dominion's superior numbers meant nothing when they couldn't bring them to bear effectively. Their perfect formations broke apart as they tried to chase down targets that didn't exist, while human-led strike teams appeared from quantum space at impossible angles, struck hard, and vanished before the enemy could respond. But the Void Dominion was learning. Each engagement revealed new adaptations in their tactics, new countermeasures to human unpredictability. They began using their own ships as bait, setting traps that almost caught several strike teams. The war was evolving, becoming a deadly dance of innovation and counter-innovation. Multiple quantum signatures. Rivera's warning came just as the Hyperion's tactical display lit up with new contacts. They've developed some kind of quantum wake detector. They tracked our jump trajectory. A massive Void Dominion battle group emerged from quantum space, their weapons already charging. They had finally adapted to human tactics, using their superior numbers to saturate the entire area with weapons fire. There would be no dodging this attack, no clever maneuver to turn their precision against them. A massive Void Dominion battle group emerged from quantum space, their weapons already charging. They had finally adapted to human tactics, using their superior numbers to saturate the entire area with weapons fire. There would be no dodging this attack, no clever maneuver to turn their precision against them. All power to forward shields, Chen ordered, but she knew it wouldn't be enough. The Hyperion's enhanced defenses could maybe survive 2 hits from the enemy's main weapons. She counted at least 30 ships targeting them. That's when High Commander Zix proved that humans weren't the only ones who could innovate. The Crixus flagship suddenly accelerated to what should have been impossible speeds, its crystalline hull beginning to resonate at frequencies that made the quantum space around it shimmer. The Void Dominion sensors, trying to compensate for this new phenomenon, failed to notice the real threat until it was too late. The resonance created a cascade effect in quantum space, turning the very fabric of space-time into a weapon. Enemy ships found their perfect formation working against them as the disruption spread from vessel to vessel, their linked shields amplifying the effect rather than dampening it. Now, Chen didn't waste the opportunity. All strike teams, converge on these coordinates. Show them what happens when you corner humanity and our allies. The battle that followed would be studied by military historians for centuries to come. Human fury and ingenuity combined with Crixus elegance and precision in ways that transformed space warfare forever. Ships danced through quantum space like predators, striking from impossible angles while their crystalline hulls sang with destructive harmonics. When it was over, the Void Dominion had lost over 60 ships, with the remainder retreating in what could only be described as panic, if machines could feel such an emotion. The combined fleet had suffered losses as well, but more importantly, they had proved that their alliance was more than just desperation. It was evolution. Their attack pattern database will be useless now, Chen observed as the fleet regrouped. They'll have to rewrite their entire combat doctrine. And we'll be ready when they do, Zix added, their crystalline form glowing with what Chen now recognized as excitement. Perhaps this is why they feared us meeting each other. Not just human warfare or Crixus technology, but what we could become together. As repair crews began their work and tactical analysts pored over the battle data, Chen couldn't help but smile. The Void Dominion had thought they were fighting 2 separate species, one primitive but cunning, the other advanced but predictable. Instead, they had created something entirely new, an alliance that was rapidly becoming more than the sum of its parts. The war was far from over, but for the first time since the Crixus had sent their desperate plea into the cosmos, the galaxy was beginning to wonder if the supposedly invincible Void Dominion had finally met their match. Deep within the captured Void Dominion dreadnought, Commander Chen and High Commander Zix stood before a technological marvel that defied explanation. The ship's central core pulsed with an otherworldly energy, its geometric patterns shifting in ways that seemed to ignore the basic laws of physics. 6 months of fighting, Chen murmured, studying the holographic analysis floating before her. And we finally understand what we're really up against. They're not just machines. They're something far worse. The discovery had come at a devastating cost. 3 human Crixus battle groups had been lost securing this vessel, but what they found inside changed everything they thought they knew about their enemy. The Void Dominion wasn't a civilization of artificial intelligence as they'd assumed. They were quantum computers made manifest, living mathematics given form and purpose. Their entire consciousness exists in quantum space, Zix explained, their crystalline form resonating with the core's energy. That's why they can coordinate so perfectly across light years. That's why they never truly die. They simply transfer their patterns through quantum entanglement. But that's also their weakness. Chen's eyes narrowed as she processed the implications. They're so dependent on quantum stability that they can't handle true chaos. That's why our tactics worked at first. We were introducing variables their quantum minds couldn't process fast enough. A warning klaxon interrupted their revelation. Lieutenant Rivera's voice came through the quantum comm, tense but controlled. Multiple Void Dominion fleets detected on approach to the Crixus home system. This is it, Commander. They're committing everything. The tactical display showed the greatest armada either species had ever witnessed. Thousands of Void Dominion ships moved through quantum space like a geometric storm, their patterns more complex and unpredictable than ever before. They had learned from their defeats, evolved their tactics, and now they were bringing overwhelming force to bear. They know we've discovered their secret, Chen said, already moving toward the command shuttle. They're trying to end this before we can exploit it. The next hours were a blur of tactical preparations. The combined human Crixus fleet gathered every ship they could spare, but they were still outnumbered nearly 10-1. The Crixus homeworld, with its crystalline cities and quantum technology archives, would be defenseless if they failed. Chen stood on the Hyperion's bridge, watching as her crew made final preparations. The ship had been modified almost beyond recognition, its systems now a hybrid of human innovation and Crixus elegance. But their greatest weapon was still in development, a desperate gambit based on their recent discovery. All ships report ready, Rivera announced. The Crixus quantum engineers say the new weapon is as stable as they can make it, but they can't guarantee it won't tear a hole in space-time. When has that ever stopped humanity before? Chen replied, though her attempt at humor couldn't completely mask her concern. Begin the operation. Let's show them what happens when you push humanity to its absolute limit. The battle began with a ferocity that made their previous encounters look like practice skirmishes. The Void Dominion had abandoned their perfect formations for something far more deadly, adaptive quantum algorithms that could predict and counter human chaos tactics. Their weapons fire created patterns that shifted faster than organic minds could process, while their shields adapted to every frequency the Alliance threw at them. Ships died by the dozens, then hundreds. The space around the Crixus homeworld became a graveyard of broken vessels and shattered dreams. But amid the chaos, the human Crixus fleet held their ground, fighting with a desperation born of knowing there was nowhere left to retreat. Multiple breaches in sections 4 through 7, Rivera reported as another barrage rocked the Hyperion. Shield generators are critical. We can't take much more of this. Chen watched as a Crixus cruiser sacrificed itself to protect a group of human destroyers, its crystalline hull shattering in a display of quantum energies that briefly lit up the battlefield like a newborn star. The sight steeled her resolve. Signal the Crixus quantum labs, she ordered. Initialize the resonance cascade. All ships, prepare to execute final protocol on my mark. What happened next would be debated by physicists for generations to come. The human Crixus fleet suddenly began emitting quantum frequencies that seemed random at first, but were actually following a pattern based on human brainwave patterns, organic chaos given mathematical form. The effect on the Void Dominion was immediate and catastrophic. Their quantum consciousness, unable to process the organic randomness being forced into their network, began to fragment. Ships started moving erratically, their perfect coordination breaking down as the quantum noise disrupted their ability to think as one. It's working. Rivera's excitement was palpable. Their fleet cohesion is dropping. Individual ships are starting to. His words were cut off as the Void Dominion revealed their final adaptation. Their flagship, a behemoth that dwarfed even their largest dreadnoughts, began to pulse with energy that warped the very fabric of space around it. They were attempting to stabilize their quantum network by brute force, using power that threatened to tear apart reality itself. All ships, fall back, Chen ordered as space itself began to buckle under the quantum stress. They're going to. The explosion, when it came, defied description. The Void Dominion flagship had overloaded its quantum core, creating a cascade that rippled through their entire fleet. Ships began to dissolve as their quantum consciousness was ripped apart, their perfect geometric forms breaking down into chaos. But the destruction wasn't limited to the enemy. The quantum backlash tore through space like a tsunami, overwhelming shields and destroying anything in its path. The human Crixus fleet, despite their desperate attempts to escape, found themselves caught in the edge of the catastrophe. When the quantum storm finally subsided, the battlefield was unrecognizable. Nearly half the combined fleet had been destroyed, and most surviving ships were heavily damaged. But they had achieved what had seemed impossible. The main Void Dominion fleet was in ruins, their quantum network shattered. "Status report," Chen demanded, pulling herself up from where the last blast had thrown her. "Heavy casualties," Rivera responded, his voice rough. "But the Crixus homeworld is safe. The enemy fleet, they're not just retreating, they're fragmenting. Without their quantum network, they can barely function." Chen turned to where High Commander Zix stood, their crystalline form dimmed but unbroken. "We've found their weakness. They can't exist without perfect quantum coherence. And now we know how to disrupt it. But at what cost?" Zix gestured to the graveyard of ships floating around them. "We've lost so many, and the Void Dominion will adapt again. They always do. Then we'll be ready." Chen's voice was steel. "Because that's what humanity does. We learn, we adapt, and we never stop fighting. And now, thanks to this alliance, we have something even the Void Dominion's perfect mathematics can't calculate." As the fleet began emergency repairs, Chen knew this victory, however costly, was just the beginning. The Void Dominion would return, perhaps with defenses against their new weapon. But they had proven something crucial. The enemy could be hurt, could be forced to feel fear, could be made to doubt their own perfection. The next battle would be the last. One way or another, this war would end where it began, with humanity proving that sometimes the most powerful force in the universe isn't perfect calculation, but the chaotic, indomitable will to survive. The quantum storms hadn't stopped for 3 days. Ever since the battle at the Crixus homeworld, space itself seemed to be rebelling against the laws of physics. Commander Chen stood on the Hyperion's observation deck, watching the ripples of distorted space-time that marked the boundary between normal space and what they now called the Void Storm. Behind that quantum maelstrom waited the remains of the Void Dominion, not defeated, but transformed. Their consciousness had fractured during the last battle, but instead of destroying them, it had forced them to evolve. Now they were something new, something perhaps even more dangerous, a hive of individual quantum minds working in chaos rather than harmony. "The simulations are complete," High Commander Zix announced, their crystalline form flickering with nervous energy. "What we're seeing, it's unprecedented. They're using the quantum instability we created as a weapon. They're turning our own chaos against us." The tactical display showed the extent of the threat. The Void Storm was expanding, consuming solar systems and turning ordered space into a quantum nightmare. Civilian ships that ventured too close emerged change, their crews reporting time dilation and physics violations that defied explanation. "How long?" Chen asked, though she already knew the answer. "At the current rate of expansion, 6 days until it reaches the Crixus homeworld, 8 until it hits Earth." Zix's voice carried the weight of billions of lives. "We have to end this now, before the storm grows beyond anyone's control." The combined human Crixus fleet had gathered every surviving ship for this final confrontation. The shipyards had worked miracles, repairing and enhancing their vessels with technology that pushed the boundaries of what either species thought possible. But they all knew it might not be enough. Alert from long-range sensors, Lieutenant Rivera's voice cut through the tension. "Multiple quantum signatures detected within the storm. They're moving. All of them." The tactical display erupted with new contacts as the Void Dominion's remaining forces emerged from the chaos. Their ships no longer maintained rigid geometric patterns. Instead, they moved like a swarm of quantum locusts, each vessel acting independently while still part of a greater whole. All ships, battle stations, Chen ordered, her voice steady despite the gravity of the moment. This is what we've prepared for. This is where we make our stand. The human Crixus fleet moved into position, their formation a deliberate mix of order and chaos that reflected the evolution of their alliance. They had learned from each other, grown stronger together, and now they would fight as one. "They're broadcasting something," Rivera reported, his hands flying over the tactical console. It's a message, in human languages and Crixus quantum patterns simultaneously. The message was simple but chilling. "We have embraced chaos. We have become like you. Now we will show you true perfection." The battle began not with an exchange of weapons fire, but with a wave of quantum distortion that rippled through space like a tsunami. Ships on both sides found themselves fighting not just each other, but reality itself as the void storm wrapped around them. Multiple hits across all decks, Rivera called out as the Hyperion shuddered under the assault. "They're not just firing weapons, they're weaponizing quantum probability itself." Chen watched as a human destroyer literally phased through a Void Dominion cruiser, both ships existing in the same space for a moment before probability collapsed, and they exploded in a cascade of quantum energy. The laws of physics were becoming suggestions, and both sides were learning to exploit the chaos. But amid the insanity, a pattern emerged. The Void Dominion's new tactics, while devastating, were missing something crucial. Something that made humans and Crixus what they were. "They don't understand," Chen realized, watching the enemy ships dance through impossible maneuvers. "They've copied our chaos, but they don't have the one thing that makes it work: purpose." The revelation sparked an idea. One final gambit that would either save both their species or doom them all. "All ships, new orders," Chen commanded. "Disengage quantum shields. Redirect all power to the new resonance drives. We're going to show them the difference between chaos and freedom." The human Crixus fleet's response was immediate and unanimous. Ships began powering down their defensive systems, making themselves vulnerable, but also unleashing the full potential of their hybrid technology. The resonance drives, combining human intuition with Crixus quantum science, began to sing in harmony. The effect was beyond anything they had predicted. The quantum resonance created a bubble of pure, ordered space within the chaos, not by fighting the storm, but by accepting it and giving it purpose. The Void Dominion ships, for all their newfound adaptability, couldn't comprehend the pattern that wasn't a pattern, the order within chaos that only conscious minds could create. "Their quantum network is destabilizing again," Rivera reported, his voice rising with excitement. "But this time it's different. They're not just fragmenting. They're being offered a choice," Zix finished, understanding dawning in their crystalline features. "Our resonance isn't destroying them. It's showing them another way to exist." The battle reached its climax not with destruction, but with transformation. The Void Dominion ships began to change, their geometric forms flowing like liquid metal as their quantum consciousness faced something they had never encountered: the opportunity to choose their own path. Some fought to the end, their ships dissolving into quantum static rather than accept change. Others surrendered, their consciousness accepting the harmony offered by the human Crixus resonance. And some simply vanished into the void storm, perhaps to emerge somewhere, sometime, as something new. When it was over, the storm began to subside. Space gradually returned to normal, though forever changed by what had occurred. The combined fleet had suffered heavy losses, but they had achieved something far greater than military victory. They had proven that even the most implacable enemy could be transformed through understanding. "Message from Earth and the Crixus homeworld," Rivera announced, his relief evident. "The quantum distortions are dissipating. We did it." Chen turned to Zix, seeing in their alien features the same mix of exhaustion and hope that she felt. "No," she corrected. "We all did it. humans, Crixus, and even the Void Dominion in the end. We proved that the greatest power in the universe isn't perfect order or pure chaos. It's the ability to choose our own destiny. In the years that followed, the alliance between humans and Crixus grew into something unprecedented, a civilization that combined the best of both species while remaining true to their unique natures. The remnants of the Void Dominion that had chosen to stay became part of this new society, their quantum consciousness adding depth to the growing harmony. The war had ended not with the destruction of an enemy, but with the birth of something new. Humanity had brought its courage and adaptability, the Crixus their wisdom and technology, and together they had transformed an existential threat into an opportunity for growth. As Commander Chen stood on the observation deck one last time, watching ships from all three species working together to rebuild, she understood that this had been the true victory. Not the defeat of an enemy, but the proof that even in the darkest times, intelligence and determination could forge a better future. The stars seemed brighter somehow, as if they too were celebrating the dawn of a new era. An era where the combined strength of humanity and their allies would ensure that no species ever had to face extinction alone again. The last stand of humanity had become the first step of a greater journey, and the galaxy would never be the same.